There's actually a creek on McCar's Creek Road. It's never really running, but after all the rain this week, it is. So let's see if I can not mess myself up and get a look of it, because there's a pretty cool waterfall just here. I'm in, here it is. Thank you, Sydney. This is the bit they don't tell you about when you get up the road and you realize you lost a part of your camera. Yep, there it is. Great times. Back on the road. Today I want to talk to you about recovery. I'm out for a recovery ride today. Legs are starting to feel the strain from the recent uptick in training. But what are the things that you can do at home to try and improve your recovery? I'm going to share some of the things I do. After last week's downpour, a lot of rubble around. Let's see what that looks like. I had 2 invitations for races this weekend. 70 kilometers Zwift race. Blech. And the West Head monthly race. I'm not quite sure I'm ready for my debut there, but let's go up and check out the action in amongst this discussion. And it may seem like I'm looking to be the most technologically advanced cyclist, but I'm trying out a couple of new mounts today. Got a camera on the back. I guess it's on. Got a chesty ready to go. Potentially the worst of the new GoPro angles. Let's do it. Morning. Morning, fellas. So I guess I didn't get the memo, which would make sense given that I wasn't actually registered for the race. There's no racing on here today. West Head is probably the quietest I've ever seen it, which is odd given how many people were on the way up here. Anywho, still nice riding. real rubble rally down here. It really feels like Sydney's putting on a tribute to Paris-Roubaix this weekend. Not quite. As I pedal through the sticks, the sludge, and the fog, and I wonder whether or not my white socks will ever recover, let's talk about recovery. I, like many of you, probably think of recovery as what you do when you're not on the bike. When you ride, you're riding. When you're not riding, you're recovering. But as I increase my training, I'm forced to think about recovery more. Not to mention I've got Chris Miller and Jesse Coyle telling me I should be buying Pillar Performance now. Let me start by saying I don't have any specific injuries. Nothing I'm particularly trying to recover for. This is more of just general thinking. By no means am I a coach, sports expert, or any kind of medical professional. So please take anything I suggest with a grain of salt. Something that I find when I go deep into training blocks, kind of like the power-based one I'm doing at the moment, is I get a lot of tension, a lot of tightness, all through my drivetrain. I don't mean on the bike, I mean my legs. From the hip, pretty much all the way down to the calf. And this is the kind of thing that if I don't do anything about it from a recovery perspective, I tend to run into more trouble. It can pretty rapidly go from just tightness and tension to pain and niggles, the kind of stuff that prevents me from riding. So as I ramp up the training, I find I have to ramp up the basic recovery. My two favorites for this are my Theragun, which is the high-tech option.
There's nothing particularly special about the Theragun. It came recommended to me, and I would certainly recommend it to anyone else. But any percussion gun massager will do the trick. They're really easy to operate. Turn it on, choose the speed, and away you go. If I had to make a suggestion, it would just be to find one that is going to offer enough power for your muscle mass and body size. This model comes with a variety of different heads. It's really easy to change from one head to another, but I'll be honest, I only really use one or two of them. Probably the best part of Theragun as a product is that it comes with an app. My personal favourite is the post-ride recovery. It focuses on calves, hamstrings and quads. It's a pretty simple program and it only goes for 6 minutes, which means it's something that you can do even in a small window of time.
But also just the lo-fi foam roller.
Compared to a Theragun, foam roller is pretty cheap. They come in all different shapes and sizes. You can get a long one like this that has got a soft core and a soft exterior. Or you can get one like this that has a hard core and a ridged exterior. You can even get a small cork ball, which is great for smaller muscles. Each have their pros and cons. The larger foam roller obviously is not as easy to transport and move around, but its size gives you a lot more flexibility in how you can use it. The smaller ridged foam roller is a lot more aggressive on your body. It can provide a deeper release and is more nimble and easy to transport. There are a lot of different ways to foam roll. These are the ones that I tend to employ slowly through the quads, getting into the IT band, working the calves, and then also the glutes.
Doing either of these things daily can go a long way as a preventative measure from running into trouble with that tightness. For a drivetrain that I washed yesterday, that sounds pretty rough. Gives you a bit of a sense of how grimy the roads have been out here today. Probably the other biggest factor of recovery for me is nutrition. I don't mean like gels and stuff that you eat while you ride. It's kind of more about putting back in what you took out. As I get older, I find this more and more important. I actually go through phases of tracking my calories, just trying to make sure that I am putting enough in. I think most serious cyclists will know it's pretty easy to lose weight in this game. We're burning an incredible volume of calories. You've got to avoid that deficit if weight loss is not what you're going for.
The important starting point is just making sure you're aware of your own weight. I use Apple Health to track my weight from week to week. I try to weigh myself in the same way at the same time of each week. If nothing else, it helps in reporting the right figures for Zwift racing. For calorie tracking, I use MyFitnessPal. It's a free app, and I find that it has the most food entries in its database, which makes it easier for tracking calories. Calorie tracking can be quite involved, so it's not something that I do on the regular, mostly just from time to time to make sure I'm on the right track. The fundamentals I'm looking at is just to make sure that I'm taking in enough calories to offset what I'm burning during exercise, but also that the macronutrients are roughly in line with where they need to be. The example I'll call out here is I'm clearly not having enough protein in this particular diary entry. The simple science here is that if I'm not giving my body enough fuel and not giving it the right fuel, then it's not going to perform and it's definitely not going to recover. Okay, so that's a wrap. The end of another week, the end of another video. I'm really hoping that the roads recover and get back to their former glory soon after all of that bad weather in Sydney. I hope you enjoyed seeing some of the things that I do for recovery. I'd be really keen to hear about the things that you do for recovery. There's a few interesting shots with the different camera angles in there today. I'd love to hear from you what you think works and what you think should never happen again. Other than that, until next time, folks, see ya!